Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming along today. A little bit of background on me. Before I was involved with schools, I was an HR manager, so I worked recruiting people in some big businesses. So I've worked for Microsoft, I've worked for Google, and done all the interviewing and selection of the people that get those jobs. So hopefully today my plan is just to give you a couple of insights on how we interview those people, what students we used to look for, and really what's the key to getting some of those really top jobs in England and earning some good salaries on the back of those top jobs. Okay, so some facts that are here. There were 12 million students who came out of UK universities last year, really the last year's figures. And as you'll see, the third one down, there is a key statistic that people who have studied at a UK university have a 40% higher chance of getting the more senior jobs in the UK. And one of the key factors is they are looking for university courses that have business experience. So Microsoft, which was the graduate program I was involved in, didn't necessarily want IT skills. They didn't necessarily want science skills. They wanted graduates who had had experience in business, so had spent their summer holidays working in a family business or working in other businesses around them. And most importantly, which is a good reason for lots of these students to be studying and actually getting a good education, is the salary for the students that have gone through A-levels and then a degree education is on average 25% higher than people who haven't. So I appreciate everybody is here today thinking about schools. So what do employers look for in good schools when they have piles and piles and piles of application forms? What are the key things that they're looking for? One of the first things that they look for is the qualifications that the children have taken. And there are lots and lots of new qualifications that you can do in UK schools. I would have a very strong piece of advice for you. Look for schools that do A-level qualifications. There are lots on offer, but the A-levels are the ones that those employers, so people my age who are doing the interviews, they did those qualifications themselves. So they understand the grades, they understand how hard the children have worked. So it's really important for you when you're looking at schools to look for A-level qualifications. And the other thing that they're looking for, as I suggested earlier, is students who've had some experience. So a lot of the schools that you will talk to have work experience programs in schools. They have parents who are vets, parents who are accountants, who will already set up work experience within those schools. So we have experience of 50, 60, 70 different professions that people can have, maybe old students, current parents, old parents, who in the holiday time will give a week's worth of experience. I recently spoke to a student who has attained a job with one of the top banks in London, and the reason she got that job is because she did a week's work experience, and they really loved the fact that she was so committed that she wanted to do that. And the last piece of advice is to look for schools who have future steps programs. So when they get to the sixth form, the children are being told how to shake somebody's hand, how to walk into a room, how to present, how to talk to people. It isn't just about getting the good exam results. It's building a network, but it's also understanding how to be able to interview and present yourself well when you go in front of somebody when you want a job. The next tip for a job in the UK is very much about social media. Be telling your children now to be careful what they're doing on social media. Every employee in the UK, before they invite anybody for an interview, will check that student's profile, where they've been, what they've been doing, and if there's pictures of them maybe a little bit drunk, dancing on a table, doing daft things. you will not get an interview. It stops before you even get to the interview stage. So we had an amazing graduate who left our school, went to Oxford, had fantastically academic, brilliant results, but they'd put 2 really silly pictures on their Facebook page. They weren't getting interviews for anywhere. So just please be encouraging your children from however little that they're always leaving those footprints behind. Even if you delete them, people can find them. And the other side of social media, use it in your favour. So if you want to be employed by Google, or you want to be employed by a bank or a good legal firm, follow them. Go and look at all their pictures, go and look at all their recent news. And also, interestingly, quite often, before you get to the interview, they will check, have these candidates followed us recently? Are they interested in us? And if they don't find you, it will be the first question they ask you in interview. Why haven't you gone and liked our social media? Did you see the news story that we announced yesterday? And if you don't know the answer, again, immediately. So it can be a good thing too. So how do you get through the door? How do you get someone to notice you from an application letter, a CV, anything like that? First of all, be concise. I've read millions of application forms. Loads of people are really boring. Don't be boring. Be prepared from the minute you walk in the door. I'm sorry, this is going to be rubbish on the video. But say I'm the interviewer and this is my candidate. So you're sat, stay there. You're sat in the interview, in the waiting room, ready to go. Be careful where you put your bag. It's a really, really small point. But your bag on the chair, perfect.
Thank you so much.
If it's down here and it's on the floor, you're kind of, hi, oh, let me grab my bag. Yes, it's all very awkward. So perfect. On the chair, nicely, you can come and run. You can sit down, sorry. Okay, so be careful how that very first introduction is. Mm-hmm. And the next tip, have something really good to say. Because we're now going to go from here to an office or to a presentation room. You need to have something that's about the company or about the person. So, oh, Rachel, I noticed on your website you recently won an award. Tell me about that award. So the next thing, which is a little bit against what we're all doing here today, so it's a cheeky one. It's not all about exam results. They will have a pile of papers with people who have A stars and A's. You have to have a personality. You have to have something about yourself that when we're walking over and we're going into our room and they say, oh, tell me about you. I see so many students that say, I got an A in maths, or I'm really good at biology. I don't care about any of that. I've got loads of people that are good at maths. I want to know about you. What's that fact about you that's going to make you fit my business? Microsoft say that within the first 3 minutes of an interview, if somebody hasn't come up with something that's interesting about themselves, they don't continue with the interview. That's it. So we used to interview people in under 5 minutes to decide if they wanted to stay in the business or not. Okay, and lastly, wear something that they'll remember you by. So this lovely young lady at the back, I love your cap. I will remember your cap from everybody in this room because it's cool. It's really nice. So if you're a boy, wear a tie that's a bit different or a handkerchief that's in your pocket. If you're a girl, whatever it is, I like good shoes. That's kind of my thing. I like people to go, oh, I like those shoes. Have something that you wear in your person that's going to make people go, ah, she was the one with the shoes. She was the one with the cap. She was the one with the handbag. Whatever it is, have something that people remember you by. So the next bit I want to talk to you is the actual interview. So we've stood up, we've had our bag in a good place, we've had a nice conversation on the way to the lift. In the interview itself, never, ever, 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 ever drink tea or coffee. 2 reasons. The first one is it kind of makes you go because it makes you dry in your throat. The second reason is the person who's interviewing you never really wants to make it for you. They're busy and they forget, oh, 1 coffee with milk, 1 tea with sugar. Oh, it's just, they never really want to do it. So Have a glass of water. Definitely the best thing to do. The next bit I normally say is be prepared. So if you have a presentation, make sure it's good. If you need to take notes, make sure you've got it. I will make you laugh now. This presentation has a video, and because I didn't come and check it, it's not working. So I'm not being prepared, so I'm sorry this afternoon. But if that was happening in an interview, I'd go into a panic and I'd worry. So if you need to check the technology, go and do that half an hour before. Make sure you know what the room looks like, find out about the people. So be prepared. And the last bit for the interview, prepare some questions. So they ask you loads and loads of questions, and you've got loads of good answers. And then at the end they say, do you have any questions for us? The worst thing as an interviewer is when people go, no, not really, because I'm just glad to go now. I want to go home, I want to phone my mom, I want to have my tea, whatever it is. So please, please, please prepare really good questions. And I'll give you a tip for one, which I was asked, and I thought was one of the best questions I ever had, was if I left the room now and asked your team what you're like to work for, what would they say about you? Okay, so just really a summary. Why? Yes, invest in education. It gives you good results. It gets you through that first bit. Remember, A-levels are what people look for. The education gives you opportunity. I'm really lucky. I went to one of these schools and I've worked in Moscow, in Paris, in South Africa. I've run my own business. I've worked for big businesses. I'm now back at the school that I love, so I'm very lucky. You build really good networks. So you'll have in these schools lots of different international students. Yes, some from Ukraine, but actually it's your friends that you'll make in Germany and Spain and Russia and China that will be there as a really... It's an underlying network for jobs. You want to go and be a lawyer in New York, you'll know someone that works in New York who can recommend you. It doesn't get you the job, but it gets you the stages. And then really finally, please, 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 experience. These children will do brilliantly in exams. That's what the schools do. Get yourself loads and loads of work experience. And so I guess the very last thing from me, be different. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend.